Upon USA's announcement of the student election candidates, EUTV's producers reached out to all of the sabbatical and liberation candidates. Due to the short window of the campaigning period, we had to give everyone a deadline for responding, so our editors could put the videos together. The candidates shown are the ones who responded to us by the deadline. EUTV is not endorsing any of the candidates shown.
I'm running for Black and minority ethnic officer because I believe in inclusivity for us all. In light of recent ethnically and racially directed violence and discriminatory events, I believe that all students should feel safe, should feel heard, and should feel supported in university. And that is the reason why I'm running for this position, because as a transformational leader, I believe that we can all achieve a vision together. And that vision is an inclusive campus where you all feel supported and all feel safe to achieve whatever it is you desire, be it academic or non-academic. And my number one priority, if elected as your Black and minority ethnic officer, is to build an ambitious app which will consolidate a lot of university resources to help you and ease your life, to allow information to be accessible to you in a manner that is easy for you to find. And that could come in different forms, such as having forums within the app where we can interact and discuss things together, deliberate on ideas, or having polls. It could include having a counseling service application, which makes it easier for you to apply for counseling. Really, it will be customized for you. And that is why I believe you should vote for me.
I love being a student at the University of Edinburgh. I love the people I've met here and I love my course, but I do feel that the experience for BME students can definitely improve. I think this can be done by getting to know more about each other and our cultures through having culture events and culture days and culture balls. As well as that, I would like to feel safe on campus as a BME student, and to do this I would like to implement an inquiry system whereby we can see what the university actually does to protect and look after its BME students. You should vote for me above other candidates because I have the experience, passion and drive to be the best BME officer I can be. I have the experience as I've worked in similar roles with various other BME students and organisations as laid out in my manifesto. I have a real passion for standing up for minorities, whether that be through protesting, marching or spreading information, as well as getting involved with the university directly. I've never been shy when it comes to taking action. I know that I have the drive and ability to take on this role as I have a clear set of aims in which I wish to implement, and my previous work signifies that I can fulfil my promises. My number one priority is to ensure that BME students feel heard and supported within the university. I will work closely with students and societies with the aim of mutual support and cooperation in line with my aims of hope, recovery and solidarity.
My name is Annie Stoner. I'm a third-year music student and I'm running to be Disability Liberation Officer for 2021-2022. I'm running for Disability Liberation Officer next year to safely and fairly return disabled students to campus. I want to champion their voices and be the representative that I as a student would hope to see. I believe students should vote for me above other candidates because I believe that my campaign promises are succinct, obtainable, and entirely what we need right now as we return back to campus after the COVID-19 pandemic. My number one priority as Disabled Students Officer would be to continue the implementation of COVID-19 policies and adjustments, making sure that each student has a choice on whether or not to attend classes in person or do anything that puts their physical or mental well-being at risk. Many experts predict that we will still be in a pandemic for years to come, so students need a liberation officer now who has a plan to bring them back to campus safely. Thank you so much for watching, and even if you're not voting for me for Disability Liberation Officer, please ensure that you do vote in the USA elections and make sure that your voice is heard.
With me as your disabilities officer, I'm going to work with those other candidates and we're going to try and work together as best as we can. I think that I have policies that are really about change rather than trying to get back into the life that we've had before COVID. I think it's time that we use COVID as a push into changing for the better what we can do for disabilities. My number one priority is about change. It's about restructuring the system that we currently have. Students with disabilities are being left behind by funding bodies and by the university, relying on funding bodies who take months to have any sort of action on giving you funds. You have appointments with disabilities appointments with the disabilities departments that take months to come into action, and then you have to wait again to get the funding. It's time that that changed. The university can be doing more. We can look at other universities, the way that they structure their funding, and we can be changing the way that we do ours. I'm not afraid to stand up for what I believe is right for us as disabilities students, and I think that it's time that we stepped out beyond the norm and accepted that we can do some real differences in the university for both students in our cohorts and future students to come.
Hi, I'm Nicole. My pronouns are they, she, and I'm running to be your next Disabled Students Officer. I want to be Disabled Students Officer because there's a critical lack of accessibility at Edinburgh Uni and in society, something that's clear now more than ever. Our needs are consistently trivialised and ignored, and we're overdue for change. I'm extremely passionate about disability justice and our community. We have to push through so many obstacles to get any support, and I want to make sure that no disabled student needs to go through the struggle ever again. You should vote for me because I have a proven and successful track record of implementing positive change at the university level. I don't just want to keep the current accessible COVID measures in place, I want to reform the university's entire system to make it truly accessible, actually working for and not against disabled students. Right now, the burden is on us, already marginalised students, especially during the pandemic, to actively need to apply each time we have coursework for adjustments in special circumstances for long-term conditions, get recordings of non-recorded lectures ourselves, wade through confusing bureaucracy to access inadequate mental health care, and more. That isn't okay, and changing this is a top priority of mine.
Hi, I'm George and I'm rerunning for the position of LGBT+ Liberation Officer. The reason why I want to rerun for this position is because it is an amazing role. I've absolutely loved my time in this position and it's been amazing to be able to help you, the queer community, have your voices heard on campus. I've absolutely loved being able to work with the Liberation Officers and Sabbatical Officers to make long-standing change. You should vote for me for the LGBT Liberation Officer role because I understand how the university runs. I understand what needs to be done in order to make serious change. I'm a firm believer that the university should have a proactive response rather than a reactive response, especially to policies that help the queer community on campus. I really believe that I am the right person in order to make the community feel safer and feel like they've been brought together, especially during COVID. My number one priority when I am elected will be mental health. I will lobby the university in order to train counsellors in LGBT mental health, and I will work with queer charities like LGBT Health and Wellbeing Scotland to run queer online events so queer people at Edinburgh Uni have access to resources that actually help them manage their mental health. I myself understand what it's like to be queer and to be questioning your identity whilst at Edinburgh University. I understand how sometimes it can feel isolating and you feel like you don't have a community around you. I want to change all that. So remember, vote for George for the LGBT+ Liberation Officer.
Hi, my name is Divya and I'm standing to be a next Women's Officer. I want to be a Women's Officer because I believe I can make a difference for each and every woman in this university. Coming from a nation where the voices of women is constantly suppressed, I want the voice of each and every woman to be heard. I want to be the voice behind which each and every woman in this university can safely stand and speak their mind freely. A vote for me is a vote for action. I believe in strong action rather than just words and phrases, and my actions are definitely louder than my words. If I'm elected as a women's officer, my first priority would be to set up a self-defense society. Setting up a self-defense society would give women the power and the confidence to fight on their own.
Time's up. No more silence, no more tolerance, no more waiting. We will stand up and fight against any injustice, violence and inequality. Vote for Divya to be a next women's officer.
My name is Sharessa Naidoo and I'm running for Women's Liberation Officer. I want to be your next Women Liberation Officer because I am passionate about women. And since society at large is not, I am also passionate about seeing the full potentials of all female students at the university realised, unhindered, and potentially This will allow me to be a part of the building blocks needed to create an anti-sexist society outside the university once we all graduate. I strongly believe that we need at the university a sort of forum, be it a women liberation forum, that brings together university societies and university associated organizations that are already working on amazing kind of initiatives and campaigns that are improving the lives of female students at the university in Edinburgh.